Shields up, phasers locked on. We are here with the Highly Illogical podcast, and I am joined here by an illustrious panel of Trekkies. Today, we are talking about just recent Trek news because there's been a plethora of Trek news that has come out recently. First off, I'd like to introduce my panel here today. We got the former Golden Glasses Award winning host of the year of 2022, Major Rage. How you doing?
Doing wonderful. Proud to be here. Excited to talk about this slew of Trek news we've gotten.
Mm-hmm. And below him is the two-time winning Golden Glasses Award winning something. V-Man, how you doing?
I'm great, man. It's great to be here, brother.
Oh, I forgot. The Stanley of fan films. Retired now, actually. And to his, what would be your guys' left, I think, is Ensign Donkey, who is a Debatamania participant. Great. Gotta work on. Oh, and is a part of the Doctor Who podcast on Saturday when those happen. So, So welcome everybody. All right, so we can start. Let's start talking about Trek news because there's just a ton of it, and let's just start with the talk about the Picard movie because I feel like that's the hot button topic around here with everybody. So, I know Major Rage is super excited for this movie coming out.
Woo!
All right, well, Mage, why don't you take it?
I think they're trying to beat the dead horse until it stops spitting out money. I think we've gotten so much of his story. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I think he's still my favorite captain, but I think I don't like the way they're handling it in any of the seasons of Picard. I don't like the treatment of the character. I felt like it was at the final season, it finally felt like him. But all the trappings and everything else around it kind of ruined what it could have been. I just don't trust them to treat the character with respect anymore. And so, yeah, that's what I got to say about that, I guess.
All right.
I got to agree with you, man. Like, here's the thing. With Star Trek Insurrection, Patrick Stewart had his hand heavy into that story, and it was probably one of the worst TNG movies there was. You go to Nemesis, again, I think that was, storyline-wise, it wasn't well received by a lot of people. It was either hit or miss. It was pretty divisive. Personally, I thought it fucking sucked because it was just a rehash of old shit. You go around to Picard season 1, it was fucking terrible, man. It didn't feel like Star Trek at all. There were some good elements to it, some wise ideas in some regards, but it fell flat because it was more Patrick Stewart wanting to tell what his ideals were, not necessarily what was good for the character or for Star Trek. Go to Picard season 2, and that was fucking all over the place. It was terrible. Probably some of the worst Star Trek I've ever seen because you had me after the 2 episodes because I'm like, cool, what is going on here? I'm excited. But then you stretched like 5 or 6 episodes into what could have been 2. Like what are we talking about? I mean, you have Borg fucking troops on the planet doing God knows what, and they're not even acting like Borg. Like, just stop it. Just stop. Like, what are we talking about here? So that was just abysmal of a season. You finally get around to Picard season 3, which finally felt like Star Trek again. It wasn't necessarily great Picard. It was great Star Trek. So my thing is, I'm not optimistic. I'm not cautious. I'm apathetic. I don't care. I feel like they've told their story and they need to stop. Because it's kind of like when you have pizza and it's time to push away from the table. Stop eating, take a break, come back when it's appropriate. I feel like they are doing a cash grab because they're like, oh, Picard season 3 ended great. And instead of being respectful and going on to something else like Legacy, let's grab Picard again. Let's do that. No, don't do that. You've walked away. Do something else now that the fans want. Because I feel like they're going to fall flat. and disrespect the character again. And we don't need that. They walked away. They gave us what we wanted, which was nostalgia done right. And now they're going to fuck it up again. And I don't trust CBS, and I don't trust them pandering to Patrick Stewart. And although I love him and respect him, I'm tired of the pandering. We don't need that shit.
All right. Ensign Donkey, thoughts on Picard movie?
You guys are right. It is possible to have too much of a good thing, right? I mostly agree with you guys on season 1 and 2 of Picard. Could have been done much better. Actually, could have, this meeting could have been an email sort of thing. That could have just been, the whole season could have just been something short. Season 3 would have been great to have as a movie and then have that as a jumping off point. But with the other 2 seasons, there's too much out there. We need to move on. We've got Discovery coming back. Season 5 coming to a close for that series. What's going to happen there? Are they going to continue on in the future timeline? Are they going to continue on with Star Trek Legacy? I think the last season of Picard, the last episode, was the perfect send-off, and they're just going to go back and ruin it with a Picard movie.
What made Picard season 3 great was not Picard. It was the entire ensemble. It was everybody together, and that's and it was the nostalgia of having Worf back. Where's Worf now? Where's Riker now? The banter of hearing Riker talk to Worf on. You used to always kick back. You used to always it was having Geordi, who all throughout those 7 years couldn't find love, and now here he is, a father telling Picard F off. It was seeing the parallels between where were we as people 35 years ago and then now as adults, and seeing the parallels between the characters then and now, and that was the fun of it. It wasn't Picard, and that's what makes me apprehensive about hearing those news, and why I kind of stay away from. Nope, don't want to hear it. I don't care. It's much like with Michelle Yeoh. I think, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing her name, with the Section 31 movie. I want to be excited, but when you put so much stock into behind one character, they did that with Michael Burnham, and it fell flat on its face. I feel like when you have an ensemble that you focus on instead of one character, you fail. I don't want that, so.
Yep. I 100% agree. And I am not the biggest TNG fan. Like, I didn't hate TNG. I thought it was good. But it wasn't like, I was more of a DS9 Enterprise type of. Those were my two back then. Those were my two go-tos: is Enterprise and DS9. TNG was good, but
and that's something else. Like, how many other fans are, and no disrespect to Patrick Stewart, but how many other fans are clamoring for what happened with Cisco? Give us Cisco. Let's see what happened. Let's delve there. Let's now that we've dealt with the TNG, let's move over to DS9 and see that. Legacy can be with the Voyager stuff, and we've seen some of that with Prodigy. Let's delve into another chapter of Trek, and especially being from old school. Well, it's ironic that I'm saying next gen and DS9 is old school, concerning this group of people. But, let's go to the next chapter there and see where DS9 characters are. Where's Chief O'Brien? Where's Kira? Let's see those things, and
the most important man in Starfleet, Chief O'Brien.
Yeah,
O'Brien.
Exactly. And I'm sure Avery Brooks, under the right conditions, would come back. It's just, I like you guys have said, Picard's his story's told.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost the equivalent of how with Star Wars we've gotten so much of the Skywalkers. Now they're finally done with it. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I'm ready for my Poe Dameron movie. Anyway, this is Star Trek, not Star Wars.
I know.
I say Jar Jar Binks. We need him as a Sith, and that would be. I would watch that fucking movie. Speaking
of which, I forgot. Sorry, I'm Ginger's gonna yell at me, but Rick B is here in the comments. Of course, he says no one wants this crap. Get rid of Jar Jar Abrams and Alex Kurtzman. Ginger Greek says greeting hombres. Ginger Greek says Mage needs to calm down with all that excitement. And then he says Picard was so bad I felt my brain melt out of my nose.
Yeah.
So no, I agree. But actually, I was going to bring up Cisco because I was going to ask, well, what kind of movie do we want then? Like, I know we talk about movies all the time. What we would want, I would want Cisco versus Q, like like not like one-on-one, but like
emerges from the wormhole to fight Q, or
something like that. Or maybe Cisco's bad. Maybe Cisco's been infected with the Pa Wraiths and he's the villain. And then Q is the one who has to assemble the team of captains to fight it off.
What I think would be a great film, and I don't, if money is not a problem.
Oh, well, money is a problem. We'll talk about that later. Money is a problem with Paramount right now. What I think would be a great film, and I think you could get this back with most of the actors like John Cho, Simon Pegg, probably Zachary Quinto. I think you need to go back to the JJ movies, since it's been 10 years ish, and to the people that jumped on Star Trek 10 years ago, and do a movie era, with the Monster Maroons and everything for them, continue that storyline for them movie wise, and bring it back in scale, and do a movie for them, the kind of Fast and Furious type vibe that they would have, except Monster Maroon it, and continue the story there, because us who are going to watch the TV shows, we have our stuff. But what about those people who were brought on for that, who only had the 3 movies? The problem with those movies was the fact that they just upscaled it so much, they were never profitable. And for me, I've always stood by, the JJ films were not my go-to Trek, but I could see where some people jumped on and were like, oh, I like this Star Trek. And for one of my friends who was like a little brother to me, his name's Pete, that was his Trek. If he was to watch Star Trek, that's what he would watch. He would never watch the TV shows. So in an era where we have Prodigy, we have Lower Decks, we have Discovery, we have Strange New Worlds, we have Picard, why not, if you're going to make a movie, have the cast who will come back at a reasonable, tell a story where, these characters, some of them have moved on, but put them in the Monster Maroon. They did it with the old school cast. Now that we're at that age where they're growing old, tell the same type of stories and do something new, to where it shows respect toward those people who jumped on. So that's what I would do, and just don't spend yourself out of making a profit. Well, and there is something to be said, though, is that, you say that they always upscale these movies. There's something to be said, because The Wrath of Khan, which is one of the most well-received Star Treks of all time, had 1/3 the budget of the motion picture. So, so there's something to be said about that, is that sometimes when you have
the motion picture was so good.
Well, and it's funny because I watched Wrath of Khan last night. I watched Wrath of Khan and part of I watched Wrath of Khan and Search for Spock last night. And it's funny because I was sitting there watching in Wrath of Khan, where they reused the motion picture uniforms for the engineers' uniforms and cadets' uniforms and all that stuff. Like, I could see where they had repurposed a lot of those uniforms, re-dyed them and everything. And it's funny because it's like, if you, instead of just throwing money at a problem, if you just use your money wisely, you can tell a great story and then put the money that you do have somewhere where it's allowed to be spent. So if they're just smart with their money, you can tell a great big story that's on a galactic scale.
I mean, but that's the thing. You don't even need to tell a story that's on the galactic scale.
Sometimes less is more.
Yeah, that's the beauty of Wrath of Khan, is that, as I said, Wrath of Khan is not even my favorite original series movie, but I do know why people love it so much, and I appreciate it, because it's scaled back. It is a one-on-one confrontation between Khan and Kirk, essentially. And they don't even meet face to face in the whole movie.
I saw an interview where Ricardo Montalban was talking about that. It was great.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that Discovery has kind of soured me on. Like when we were younger, we really loved like when the Borg took over Captain Picard and they were threatening Earth, and the scope of the threat was big. And then you had the Dominion War, that scope was big. And then you had First Contact, where the Borg went back in time, and the scope was big. Like the threat was always big, and now we're at that point where like Discovery, it's universal threats, and we have these,
Oh no.
you know,
There
you
you
know
go.
that you have these space what the fucks, and we don't even know the threat levels, because it's like everything's all over the place. But like I think we need to scale some of this stuff back, and tell more personal stories. So like I said, I think with hiring some of the actors who are willing to come back at a decent price, and then using the budget you do have to say, what story do we want to tell? I think you could tell a great story. Like I said, have a series with Cisco and the DS9 crew, like you did Picard, and have a movie with those Monster Maroon JJ people. That's what I would do. So,
Donkey or
two.
Mage?
I've got two ideas. So the first one's real simple. Captain Shaw he was great, right? And he talks, he lays into Picard about Wolf 359. Let's see that story of Lieutenant Shaw after Wolf 359. I saw someone online talking about they should bring him into Lower Decks and have them cross paths with Cerritos. I'd love to see them do something with that. The other one, I know this will never happen. This is my all-time fantasy of, we need the Holy Trinity to unite. We need Q to create a something or other and have a Trek, Wars, and Doctor Who crossover. One big movie spectacular. If they could do it.
They could. I don't think they could do that though with Doctor Who. Like, they might be able to do that with Trek.
Disney's got their hands in Doctor Who now.
Yeah,
with footing the bill financially. So that's 2 of the 3.
You got 2 of the 3 already married to the mouse. You just and now who knows what's going to happen to Paramount.
Well, and that's something I was actually going to bring up here in a little bit when we get to the merger news.
Could be a juxtaposition.
There's a really good comic series of a crossover between Doctor Who and Trek. Yeah, where it's the Cybermen, which is equivalent to the Star Trek Borg, and they team up, but the Borg betray the Cybermen, and it's really well done. It was between the 11th Doctor, and it was on the D, so you had Picard, and it was great. But they could do something like that with the new Doctor and with Captain Pike, and bring Star Wars in there somehow.
Well,
that's what I would love to see on
the
screen.
dream. I mean, and that's good. But I like your idea on Shaw, because he would he be a captain at Lower Decks era, or would he be
I don't
would he
think
be
so.
a commander? Like, because Wolf 359 takes place, I think, probably about 15 years before Lower Decks. Because if you think about it, I'd have to look at the star. I'd have to look at the years.
Or I don't know.
Yeah, he might be like
an engineer, so he could run into Rutherford or something.
Well, that's maybe like Ransom, like maybe like Ransom goes on some extended leave or some kind of thing.
Ransom and he were like roommates at the academy.
There you go.
Yeah, but then you run into I guess the Sato thing, but I guess the Mariner Sato thing was more like she was more of a popular character than. There's very little we know about Shaw except for, what we've been told in Picard. Yeah. But I think that's a great idea. I think putting him in Lower Decks would be a great place to put someone like him. I also like the idea that people have thrown out is like, all of the holograms, like the emergency engineering hologram, the emergency medical hologram, all the holograms on the Enterprise G. I refuse to call it that without quotes anymore. Because I still don't consider not my G. Not my G. Would be Shaw, You know, like anytime that there's like an emergency or something, and they have to like, you know, bring in like the hologram system, like it'd be Shaw, you know, and the computer voice would be Shaw and everything. I think it'd be fantastic. I don't care. I don't care if it makes no sense. I want it to happen.
Like
Mage-
when on what was it, Insurrection, they activated the EMH.
Oh, that was First Contact, and yes, I
Oh,
remember.
First
Yeah,
Contact, yeah.
yep,
He offered the Borg some cream.
yep. Mage, you got any movie ideas besides the Picard one?
I am so not creative. I'm terribly uncreative. My D&D campaigns are usually just mishmashes of pieces of popular fiction that I like, cut
Isn't
and pasted and like smashed together.
isn't that what Star Trek is? Just popular fiction, just mashed together and with a different narrative. Like,
What do you want to see more?
Buy
of?
more.
buy more what?
I said, what do you want to see more of? Like what?
Oh,
That's
the
why where I was going with
Deans
Sean.
would be good villains if we wanted to continue like in that like post Voyager Lower Decks era. You could do the Vidians as villains or deal with the Phage as a
they were
threat.
cured, weren't they? I thought they were cured. They
Here's
said
the
in
o-
one.
Here's the only way. Here's the only way you really can do the Vidians right. If you're in this streaming type Star Trek world we live in, go full-fledged horror.
Oh
if
yeah,
you're going to go that way, because outside that, like looking back at Voyager and the Vidians, like they're a great idea, and for the TV that they did, it comes across now as Adam West campy. They're not scary. They're not. I mean, they're just. So if you're going to go that route, actually go full-fledged horror. And that's something that I would like to see. Like, if you, I mean, how many horror people do we have now that cosplay as horror? That, you know, and that's a side of Star Trek that we've never seen. That I think we actually could. That we could get away with it. Like, go for it. Go all out. Have a
Star Trek movie.
Yeah, no, not maybe a horror Star Trek movie, maybe a 3-arc miniseries, or yeah, go for it. Yeah, go. I mean, if you've got your own streaming service and you want something, go for it. You know, I think it would be probably just as popular as your Section 31 movie, but you know, yeah, have your protostar that can make it to the Delta Quadrant pretty quickly. You know, so it wouldn't be hard to get there and back. But I mean, or the Vidians could use Hirosian space whatever to get wherever they need to go or whatever. You know, it's like it wouldn't be too hard to write yourself into a way where the Vidians are out here. Have a full-fledged horror movie where they are the threat. And you know, personally, I think it would be where Starfleet crews in the Delta Quadrant, and they need to get away from this ship that's captured them, and the Vidians are on the hunt, and you need to get away. To me, it has that kind of like Star Trek First Contact when they're trying to get away from the Borg. When the Borg are on the ship, it has that kind of vibe, scary, but just take it that step further and make it mature rating. You know, to where you can actually show people getting their limbs chopped off, people are getting dissected, they're actually harvesting organs. You know,
A
show
mini
it.
series of Icheb's eye scenes.
Have Sam
basically.
Raimi direct it like it's Ash versus the Evil Dead. It'd be great.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's for a limited run. Again, knowing, I mean, therefore you can kind of, well, I mean, obviously you're never going to shut a Star Trek fan up, you know, so those that are bitching about it are going to bitch. But, you know, you can sit there and say, hey, this is just a limited run. Just like comic books, they have their limited run. So people, you know, you can say this, we're only going to put X amount of money toward it, but let's see if their audience is there. Look at Deadpool. That had a mature rating, and there was a time where that wasn't even a thing. And now, hey, let's dump more money into this. I think that's the way. If you want to take an alien race, go for it. Why not? To me, that's better than Picard season 1 and 2. They dump money into that shit, you know. So
we ended up with Agnes eating fucking car batteries.
Who doesn't want to see that? You know, you can go in LA and see that shit.
Yeah. Daniel Vance says, "You want to give me a big baddie?"
Vaudoir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Voyager never went back to give me the Vaudoir. So
they were a threat, and they could make their way to the Alpha Quadrant with their just warlike fascist asses, and they'd make a good threat. Daniel Vance is him and V-Man showing what like good ideas sound like.
Yeah, you want a better idea. Show me those squid babies that Janeway and fucking Paris had. I want to see that movie made.
Salamander babies.
Yeah, that's it. Salamander babies. Yeah, that's.
I don't remember that one.
No, what? Warp Tit.
Oh, the
Dude, I
Warp
called
Tit
them-
episode. Yeah. Okay.
I called them Tomcat. That's their ship name is Tomcat.
Oh, that's good.
Oh man.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I you know, and just going along with that, I mean, the announcement of the. Well, are we good on talking about the Picard movie?
I think so.
Okay, I think we are too. So the other movie news is that just came out, I think yesterday or the day before, was they are now talking about, with the Andor writers, by the way. Fantastic, yeah, the Andor writers, the who wrote Andor, the best freaking Star Trek series out there, in my opinion. They are writing a Kelvin timeline prequel movie. So what?
You said Trek.
Yeah,
Yeah,
instead of Wars.
Did I say Wars?
Yeah,
Blasphemy.
you said that Andor is the best Star Trek, and I mean,
Andor is the best.
If you said new, I might be like, okay, he's onto something. Andor's the best new Trek.
No, okay, sorry. I'm sorry. Everybody's losing it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And torches down. But yeah, so Andor, the best Star Wars, the series that has come out out of any of the new stuff, in my opinion. Those writers, as well as the writers, is it Loki or no? Who am I thinking of? I don't know. It's one of the other. There's also some other writers attached to it that are part of something good. But they're doing a prequel to the Kelvin timeline, which is a bit like, but here's the thing.
I don't think that's anyone asked for that.
No, not really.
No,
we asked for Star Trek 4.
People did want Star Trek 4. They just wanted it.
Yeah.
They just wanted it less than 10 years from then.
Because last one was 2016.
But the thing is that here's the interesting part about this, though, is that it says that the movie takes place decades before the 2009 Star Trek. So does that mean that it's technically going to take place in the prime time? Well, is it going to take place in the prime era? Because
divergence
came back in time 25 years before.
Unless it's a throw off where they have the movie that has the Kelvin crew, and they go back to where Kirk's dad doesn't die and they stop that. Like, that's the only time where that would kind of make sense, where we would actually give a shit. But everything in that article that I wrote, I'm like, I don't give a fuck about what you're talking about. So I tuned out, because it's like, what you're talking about doesn't make sense unless you're going like, oh, here's a movie that's a sequel, but it takes place decades before. Like,
they're gonna go back in time, find some whales to give to Nero, so Nero will not destroy the Kelvin.
It's so like, right now I feel
George and Gracie,
and this is it's just like Warner Brothers with DC and their James Gunn shit. Paramount is doing the same thing with Star Trek, where they're like, let's throw whatever we can at the wall and see what sticks, and let's try to have the best bad idea we can and make as much money before the ship sinks. And the thing about it is, like, I don't want to see a bad idea. You give me good Trek, I'll tune in. You give me a bad Trek, I'm not going to fucking tune in, because I'm tired of watching garbage. You gave me garbage for a long time, i.e. Insurrection, i.e. Nemesis, Picard season 1, 2. I'm not going to watch it. I mean, I'll tune in to see it the first time, but if it's bad, fuck it, I'm not going to watch it.
I don't like our goodwill.
Yeah, and it's like, I can go rewatch Battlestar Galactica 15 times over than watch Picard season 1 again, or that trash that's Picard season 2. I'm tired of giving these people my time. I'm tired of giving these people my money. I'm still pissed off at the Playmates thing with their action figures, where they finally get back the license for Star Trek. They don't do a goddamn thing with it. And it's like, man, you guys have burned up so much goodwill with us fans that you guys don't know what to do with yourselves. And now it's just like, oh, let's see what we can do to get their money. Man, fuck off. So I'm so sick of them. Oh, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. How about give us some good Trek? Stop fucking with us and give us some good Trek, because it's really sad that half the fans out there can come up with better stories than these people who don't have any connection at all to the fans. So I'm disgusted, and I know most of fandom is the same way. It's, you look at comics, it's the same way. You look at Star Wars, it's the same way. You look at Doctor Who, it's the same way. Like, and it's not just armchair junkies that are bitching and complaining. It's real fans, and they're trying to latch on to what's new and popular. And well, what about the fans who've been there, who keep coming back, who go to the conventions and actually buy your merchandise? Why are you not pleasing those people? So I mean, they have no connection to us fans. So
I think they're
Oh, go ahead, Mage.
what they want to do. They keep taking these types of stories and these just like ideas that are inherently like not Trek, and they try to slap like a quick Trek coat of paint on it.
yeah,
Like just and shove it out there. And it's just, we're not taking to it. Like you said, the people who really have been there for the longest and have like drive the bulk of the money coming in for them, they're not worried about us.
well, take a look at here's two examples. Take a look at Playmates, what they did with their action figures. I don't know if any of you guys collect action figures or not.
No, but Ginger Greek in the chat collects maybe not Playmate Star Trek action figures, but he does collect action figures. He loves his toys.
So they came out with Captain Kirk, Spock, Khan, Picard, Riker, Data, Burnham, and Saru. So you're a kid, and you're supposed to be watching Star Trek. Like, who is this line for? Are you going to be buying toys from a 45-year-old movie? Yeah. Or a 35-year-old franchise, or probably one of the darkest Star Trek series there are. Like, it's give us a complete collection of something.
All over the place, what you're describing.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly it. Like, instead of saying, hey, let's do Lower Decks, which is probably the most kid-friendly or geared toward kids, or Prodigy. Like, here's something Star Trek and looks Star Trek-like. Let's gear toward this, and then let's branch off. And since because a lot of those people like you and I, who are the adult age, we still have those Playmates toys from the 90s. So make it the same fashion, but just expand it, because we don't need another Picard. We don't need another fucking Riker. We don't need another fucking Data. So you've already, I think 6 out of the 8 figures were basically a little bit updated, and half of them weren't even updated well. So we don't need these. So who's this for? Why am I rebuying stuff that I don't need? Most of them didn't look very good, and the distribution was terrible. So why? So that's one example of not knowing who your fans are, who your audience is. My example number 2 is, take the Jason franchise. What is it? The killer, the guy in the hockey mask.
13th.
Okay. Forgive me for those who are real scary fans. I don't know my horror genre that well, but eventually they went through all, Jason goes Manhattan, Jason takes Manhattan, Jason does whatever.
Jason does in outer space.
And that's exactly
Freddy
what I'm going
versus
to.
Jason. Yeah,
That's exactly,
Freddy X. Oh my God.
That's exactly like
Jason X.
I actually saw the Jason one where he goes into space, because I'm like, I've got to see this. Like, what the hell? Like, have we run out of all these ideas where we have to now go to space? And that's where I feel like the Star Trek people is you really don't know what we want or how to keep us interested by telling a good story. You have this entire universe, but you don't know what we want. How is that possible? How is that possible? And it's the same thing with Warner Brothers. You have this entire catalog of characters. Why do we still keep going back to these same ones and telling the same fucking stories? What the hell are you doing? You don't know what we want. I've lost connection with us people. You just want that dollar. And I'm tired of giving it to you people. So.
You people.
What do you mean, you people?
Of all the studios that could be buying Paramount, I'm not excited that it's Warner Brothers.
No, and that's why
Hold on,
I'm
you're
so
getting
happy.
ahead. You're getting ahead. Hold on.
I know,
get to the
I know.
comments.
No,
and then-
you use it as a segue.
No,
You
I want to
act
get to the
like it was on
comments.
purpose.
We got to get to the comments, and then we're gonna segue in. Okay. Listen, we're doing this without lube. Okay. All right. So, Ginger Greek says nobody wants the damn Kelvin timeline. I
Hold
agree.
on. I
Same.
like the Kelvin timeline. You guys are talking about all the toys growing up. I didn't have those because the first thing I saw was the 2009 movie, and that was my jumping off point.
Really?
hmm
I did not know that.
Well,
Yeah.
I thought you'd watch some of it beforehand.
Maybe a couple episodes, but I will defend the Kelvin timeline.
Okay, the Kelvin timeline is, in my opinion, is not horrible. It's not it's not purest Star Trek, but
I
at the
would
same
agree.
time,
I would agree.
but at the same time, I don't have too much of an issue. I like the third one and the first one. The second one,
I'm open to more of it.
Okay. Daniel Vance says, "Let Tarantino do a DC movie revolving around the world of Justice Society. My bar is that low for the DC live action."
You're not wrong, dude. You're not wrong.
Ginger Greek says it's an excuse to get Hemsworth back on board, talking about them
Feels that way.
your comment going back in time and whatever. Rick B says he's going to bed. So, and then he I'm sorry, he corrected. He said, "I'm going to bed. Just want to say get rid of Jar Jar Abrams and now it's Klutzman." Well, we our stance there. The newer stuff are a goddamn insult to toys. That's probably Playmate. Rick B says night. Ginger Greek says Playmates can't make toys to save their life anymore. Just release the original Playmate Star Trek toys like they did in the original TMNT line, which is selling well. Which is
dude.
I had
That's exactly
freaking money
dude,
to get those TMNTs, man.
dude.
I'd have
And that's the thing,
Donnie
like,
over there in a second.
dude, and that's the thing, Ginger. Like I have with the re-releases, I was able to go out and buy the TMNT movie Turtles, which I had the original TMNT movie RAF back in the day. Now the paint jobs on the re-releases for the movie ones are shit, but to still have those and not have to go buy them on eBay or something was kind of nice, and the fact that I saw them in the store, I was like, yeah, I'll go and buy them because I'm very lazy buying stuff online. I don't like buying stuff online. I'm one of those. I take my son with me to the toys aisle. Like every time we go to Walmart, I'm like, let's go to the toys. It's one of the fun things about being a dad. I always wanted to do that, which is why I'm disappointed that Toys R Us is no longer around, disappointed that KB's is no longer around. Like it's disappointing. So taking him to Walmart toys is as close as I'm going to get to, live vicariously through him.
And that's pretty sad. Walmart toys is pretty
it is. Yeah. The fact that it's only 2 aisles. No, it's not. But no, their TMNT line is they have re-releases and it's right next to the new stuff, and that's how you do a toy line properly. And that's what I was saying is have a good selection of Lower Decks, which kids do watch. My son loves Lower Decks, and granted, there's some stuff in there that he probably shouldn't see, but he loves it. I got him for Christmas. I got him a plush Badgie. He fucking loves that thing. I mean, it's stupid, but he loves it, and I guarantee
he's gonna teach Royce some bad things about ideas towards fathers.
Dude, he already knows. He already walks up to his mom and is like, "Can I teach you a lesson?" And I'm like, "You get her, son. Yeah, that's right. She keeps talking to me that way. You go get her, boy." But it's just one of those things where it's like, I take my kid to go buy toys. That's what we do. And I am the perfect father to sell toys to. And they're simply just not there. That's why the Masters of the Universe line, when they re-released them, my kid loves He-Man toys. And we have an entire shelf or entire basket full of toys. But because distribution is so fucking terrible, and I'm tired of hearing assholes online say, just buy them online. And eat a dick. I'm tired of hearing that. I want to take my kid to go look at the toy, hold it in his hand, say, which one do I want? Let me get this one. That's part of the fun of buying the toy for a kid. Buying it online, it's just not the same. And I feel like that's something that we've lost in the modern age. It's convenient, but it's not the same. And Playmates, they just, you go to Walmart, they would be in the toy aisle. Target, they would be in the special collectors aisle. Like, who is this for? And again, the selection of characters, they're all over the place. So yeah, Playmates
Yeah.
sucks. And I'm glad they lost the license. Maybe somebody else will get it that'll actually be there for the fans. Fuck them.
Okay, Rick B, even though he said he was leaving, said the Kelvin timeline is a pile of shit. Well, I mean, as I said, I
Leave it
can't
to him
disagree
to-
with people in some of those aspects. What was that, Mage?
I was just gonna say, leave it to Rick B to poo-poo on somebody enjoying something. I'm glad those exist, if just for having Ensign Donkey with us.
Right? Kelvin timeline. Wait, the Kelvin timeline where JJ never did space or did only 10 minutes of it. Transwarp beaming. Daniel Vance says Jason X was basically the cast of Roddenberry's Andromeda series using the sets to do something else. I miss a lot of TMNT toys due to them selling out here in the UK. So now I got to rebuild my collection. I take me to buy toys. That's how I read that in my head. So that's how I'm saying it. Like a
I was
caveman.
like, is buy toys like a British toy shop? I'm like, oh, he's saying I take me to buy toys. Okay, got it.
The toy aisle is a sacred thing. And Ginger Greek finally says, I really miss TRU. What? Oh, Toys R Us. Yeah, I do too. I cry every time I drive. We had a Toys R Us not too far from my house. Donkey knows where I'm talking about. Not too far from me up here.
I think
Toys R Us was an hour away, and it was an event to go to Toys R Us, man.
Yeah, it was great.
Like chasing down a Megazord in the Christmas of '95 is a wild place to be.
Listen, that's going to be a future highly illogical podcast where we talk about Star Trek toys. I'm just saying, it's coming. It's on the list. Okay. I really miss Toys R Us. We have Smith Toys here in the UK, but they're too rigid. Whereas Toys R Us, you'd get random stuff. That's true. Okay, so this is that great segue that we're going into.
I got about 5 minutes before I got to dip out, guys.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about the Paramount the merger of Paramount into WB, and I'm going to bring a comment up that Ginger Greek said earlier really quick, just because I saved it because I didn't want to bring it up. But he was saying about the merger. He's that Paramount and WB merger equals Babylon 5 and Star Trek. Now that would be an interesting watch. I'm just saying. But here's my other.
More crossover.
Yeah, but here's my other idea with the WB and Paramount cross merger. That means that WB would have Star Trek, and then maybe Disney would put more into Orville. Because think about it, then it would be Star Trek. Then Disney would have their Star Trek, and now WB has Star Trek. So maybe
when you
talk about being high on copium, man, like looking for that, like that's best case scenario. I mean, I'm not wrong. I want more Orville. Don't get me wrong, but that's some pie in the sky stuff, Cheeto.
When you said Babylon 5 and Star Trek, because of the merger there, if it happens, like all I could think about was Vince McMahon buying WCW and WCW and WWF, and how much of a fucking flop that was of the invasion. And it's because when you have two uncontrollable, useless entities controlling really great franchises that could independently be great on their own, and they mash them together and they don't know what they're doing. It's like, like, what the fuck they're doing. And so I don't trust that at all. I mean, theoretically, it'd be great in the fans' hands, but in corporate hands, fuck no. Keep both of them apart. Again, it's just like WCW versus WWF. That could have been money made for years, slow drip, but it wasn't. So I don't trust that as far as I can throw it. I hope it doesn't happen, but at the same point, what hope do we have for either company? Because they're both dying a slow death. And people could say, oh, Paramount's doing just fine. I mean, if you say that, I don't know what other entity would let HBO Max fucking have their Star Trek shows or movies. I mean, if they were entitled to keep everything unto themselves, why would they let other people, rent out their movies? I mean, that just says, hey, we need money, we need to recoup somehow. And then for HBO, who desperately needs content because they can't afford to do shit on their own because they're bleeding out, we got to do it somehow. So, I mean, it's both of them are dying. Um, it's not good for either company. So something has to change. So
I was gonna bring you in as soon as V-Man finished, Ginger. You just couldn't wait. Could you?
Well, all right. I'll come back when V-Man jumps off. All right.
no,
No,
I got to jump off now.
Right.
So I bet it was fine. I seen you, Ginger. I wish we had talked. So man. So
That's
all right,
okay.
bye guys.
We can get Ginger to join us for the toy edition of the Highly Illogical podcast.
Yeah,
Dude,
well, you
dude,
boys
I
are
want
the-
I want to be on for that one. So all right, bye guys.
yeah.
Thanks for joining us, V-Man. All right,
Okay.
so
I'm jumping in because of. Sorry, don't mean to interrupt. We're talking corporate mergers here, so I thought, okay, fuck it, I'll come in here because
I know you have a special insight into all that because I mean, you were a part of the merger of Zamina's toilets, so I mean, that was a pretty shitty merger. So
yeah, well,
Talk about
Had to be
permanent
done.
mergers.
yeah.
So go ahead, Ginge. I mean, unless
Okay, so look, I mean, this is. I don't know. I don't think anyone really. Does anyone want this kind of merger again? More conglomerates solidifying their control over Hollywood and running everything so badly as well. Like the soul has been sucked out of everything. Nobody wants this, but Paramount's track record has been abysmal. They only have. I mean, what franchises do they have? Star Trek and Transformers.
Mission Impossible.
That was about it. And
Yellowstone?
Transformers hasn't made any
Right.
money,
Wait,
right?
was it Mission Impossible Paramount also?
Oh yeah, Mission Impossible. That was the
Hold
other
on.
one. I always forget
I've
that
got
one.
the app open.
But yeah, that's their kind of franchises. And then, like, if you look at again, they got Taylor Sheridan, who's practically running the streaming app.
They have survived.
He's got like 20 shows on there that are all his. They don't have anything. They couldn't even run a goddamn music channel properly. MTV ended up being no MTV. And but if they do the merger, like I said, there's potential of doing some crossovers there with Warner Brothers' stuff and Paramount stuff, and not just Star Trek Babylon 5. You've got Looney Tunes versus Nicktoons and all this kind of stuff, and so all sorts of insanity. But the problem is they just don't have the brain to handle the merger correctly. They're just going to balls it up, create further losses, and then the mouse is going to buy them both in the end.
And then
So
we'll
your
get the
thoughts,
Holy
guys?
Trinity together under one roof.
And then
Yeah.
they'll just jam action figures together in front of us and expect us to dole out our dollar to.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I mean, the only silver lining with this massive thundercloud of ass hattery is that maybe Star Trek will get more funding. Maybe because Paramount is the reason why we've not gotten an announcement from Star Trek Legacy is because they don't know if they can afford it. Like that's legit. Like where they're at right now, we don't know if we can afford Star Trek Legacy because of how much Discovery is ending because of money. It costs a shit ton of money to do Discovery every season, and it's been mediocrely received at best. Even though they've done a really good job at kind of turning the show around, the damage has already been done from season 1 and season 2.
Those Klingons.
Yeah, like that, the damage was done. So they've already, like Strange New Worlds is kind of the opposite. Strange New Worlds was a banger and they kicked off great in season 1. Season 2, not as good as the first season, but still going strong. So it'll be interesting to see where Strange New Worlds is in two or three more seasons. But still, like Discovery, I think needed to end, but I feel like I don't like. They've already said that Paramount's in financial problems, and Ginger's right about where that financial problem is coming because they keep fucking things up. They invest money into things, and then it just does so poorly, and then they don't make any money on it, and then they're like, "Oh, why would this fail? Now we got to cut the funding." Like eventually, we're going to get back to like the original series.
I mean, even down to the app. The app is highly problematic. I know several huge Trek nerds that find it like it does not work on any of their hardware, and so they just can't watch their Trek without Yar horror. and
Yeah.
it's sad. He's
I
a
have
huge,
I have the app at the moment because it's like £3.50 for 3 months. So I've got it for another 2 months before I ditch it, because that's what I do. I jump from platform to platform that offers deals, and it's, oh, God's sake, cat, go away. Where's she
Oh,
gone?
that's
Look,
the Golden Glasses nominated coconut,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, but the Golden Glasses nominated thing only comes in when I'm talking and wants to chew on my wires. So
It's all right.
I
The
have to manhunt them in between.
is Major
But
Rage's cat Raven.
well, he only won because he DC'd me out of the Doctor Who podcast, and they're like, "Oh, great, get Majo out of there. Vote for the cat that gets Mage out of there."
yeah, what was I talking about? I forgot before I was interrupted by the cat.
I don't even merger money, Paramount app. The app we were talking about the app.
Oh yeah, the app. Yeah, and it's rubbish. It's absolute rubbish. Like
But
it's
now the
so
old
bad.
movies are gone.
Yeah, and they don't have like when you think Paramount Pictures, you think like they have these amazing, historically awesome films. They don't have them on there. They've got like such a poor selection. So yes, the app is losing money. You know,
Yeah.
they could have championed. They could have championed the all their classics on there, which would have been great, but they couldn't do that. They could have worked towards doing a fucking G.I. Joe series. They don't even think about doing that. They can't even get G.I. Joe right. Snake Eyes was an abomination. This is what I mean. Transformers is so like there's not been one good Transformers film. They've all been abysmal. All right, they've botched everything.
They just need it with Transformers. They just need to
Everything.
go into animation. Like I'm sorry, these live action Transformers movies. I know they want to make that big cinematic bucks in the theaters, but you just need to go back to TV shows, like and try to do maybe not reboot, but try to do something with Transformers like that's animated. And I know that they've done.
They've missed their chance.
I
Cullen's
know.
retired. And they shit the bed.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let Michael Bay.
And then the problem
Oh,
then you have is when the merger happens, who takes the majority control of that side of the studio? Will it be Zaslav and his lot? Will it be a share? Zaslav is a lot more ruthless with his culling, and that could put the entire franchise in jeopardy as well. You don't know, so it's not a good idea to merge it. But Paramount are broke; they have no money. They're done.
Yeah. I mean, really,
They're
that's
running
where
on
they're at.
fumes. Yeah.
Like everybody, like they're like, why did they get rid of Prodigy? It was because they had to sell it. They had to sell it to Netflix because they needed the money. Like they are hemorrhaging money right now. And as I said, I would be okay if they cut back on the budget on some of these Star Trek shows. Strange New Worlds and Discovery have been like
they look like a motion picture, like a feature-length production
Yeah.
quality every episode.
And I'm sorry, like if they scaled back that a little bit, I'd be okay. I'm okay with enterprise level CGI. You know what I mean? Like maybe a little bit better than that. But
have faith in your audience to have a little willful suspension of disbelief and just to go with it and be entertained.
And write good stories. Give us better
substance.
stories.
Give us substance, and you don't need as much flash. Yes,
that's what I'm. Yeah, look at Firefly. I mean, I know that we're talking back in 2002, 2003, but still, look at Firefly. That was the graphics and the sets and everything was shit, but it was great, and it still has a cult following to this day.
Yeah.
So I mean,
we could. I mean, if you look at The Expanse as well, budget was never as big. Fantastic show, did a lot with little. It still looks amazing, but it went there. It was raw. It was like it was different. It was something different.
Actual space physics.
Has actual space physics. Because the two main creators of the show are absolute massive space nerds.
Yes,
like, they know their stuff about space physics, like the people from Mars and how their physicality is a lot different to people from Earth and all this kind of stuff, like genius level. And that right there is the core. So the core is always with the writers. I've talked many times before on podcasts about the disrespect writers are shown. They're an afterthought. They're second-class citizens in Hollywood, so to speak. And that's the good thing with the one Star Trek they did when they hired the Andor lot, the director and the writers. That's a good move.
Oh,
Get
yeah.
people that can bloody write. Like Picard was so fucking hubris. There you go. I mean, that says it all. Like that. Just
Are you talking about
but-
all of Picard or just season 3? Because people
Well, I
do
only watched season 1. I couldn't stomach to watch any more of it.
Oh, okay.
Well,
just people actually separate Picard season 1 and 2 from Picard season 3. Like they're like the Picard season 1 and 2 are over here, and season 3 is over here. And like we know Major Rage loved Picard season 3, but
the damage was already done. I'm not gonna waste my time going back to one season that's good when the other 2 seasons have just been disrespectful. This is not worth my time. As pretentious as that might sound, that's my personal feelings.
No, it kept disrespecting us. It just disrespected us with everybody there instead of just Patrick Stewart there. It was still disrespectful, but I'm a die on that hill.
So yeah, so I mean, I agree with you though that we were talking about that earlier, Ginge. I don't know if you were on yet or if you were, but yeah, we were talking about the Andor writers on this new Star Trek show. The only problem is that they're taking it back to another prequel that takes place decades
before.
before.
The kicker.
Yeah, it takes place.
Move 200 years into the future, away from.
No, everybody wants the 25th century, right? Like right after Picard, like take after
right
Picard,
after Picard or right after Discovery.
Yeah,
we've made that time jump. Let's see what else is out there. Forget Michael, forget Starfleet. Let's see what else is out there in the Discovery timeline too.
Well, they're going to be doing that in the
Star Wars. They keep it all tied in. Sorry about that. They keep it all tied in within the Skywalker saga. It's like, stop doing that.
Yeah, Ginger, don't be burping on stream. This is a classy podcast here. This is this ain't that world's gone insane nonsense that you got going on.
Apologies.
This isn't.
That's why I've kept my clothes on. I'm not getting naked here.
Well, I'm gonna have to drop out then.
No.
But yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. I agree. Like the Starfleet Academy show is supposed to be set in the 32nd century, which I'm not for. I want Starfleet Academy to take place back in the Picard era. I don't mind having a show that goes past where Discovery is in the 32nd century. I just don't want it to be Starfleet Academy. I wouldn't mind a rebirth of the Federation. We've talked about this before, a rebirth of the Federation show where they start, like, they have a show that's solely dedicated to, like, the president of the Federation and how they start to regather up the member races of the Federation that have kind of drifted away in the 32nd century. And it's more of a political thriller show rather than like West Wing, in space, rather than this,
That's what it should be called.
West Wing in space. Yeah, I would love it if they're gonna be like, we're just gonna go all in on it.
Tons of aspects of the Trek universe to explore. So use different genres and different types of shows to examine that. No, I like what you're on about.
They could just call it the West Nacelle instead of West Wing.
Stop it.
Ginger's like, what the fuck are you talking?
That is the most dad joke. New Golden Glasses Award category, best on-screen dad joke.
Oh yes,
that's a good one.
Zing.
He says Star Trek booth beef. Yeah, it's gardening. 40-minute episodes, 10 episodes per season. It's a gardening Star Trek show. We got it. There we go.
And then, but episode 7, we find out that it was actually that weird alien race the whole time from Voyager, that the fake Boothby. That was fake Boothby we were watching. Da, da, da. And they're working with the Borg.
Oh my, yeah, right.
No more Borg.
They're teaming
flowers. Brilliant.
No more Borg, please.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I don't know. So I mean, yeah, with Trek, it's just like it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of all up in the air and stuff. I don't know. Final thoughts, I mean, on any of this news. I mean, I know we've talked a little bit about the merger, about the movies. I mean, they're trying to like get a lot of buzz brewing about Star Trek, but honestly, I think that most of this is bad news, unfortunately. Like I really do. And anyone else got any?
Yeah, I mean, there is a danger that you're going to over milk your stuff as well. You don't want too much product out there, and also they should. Again, we're talking the company that has Nickelodeon. Explore some animation, more animations. I know Prodigy, obviously, they ditched that, but Lower Decks has done really, really well.
Mhm.
You know, you could do more animated stuff. Isn't it award winning now, Lower Decks? Didn't it win a few awards, or am I wrong?
I don't know.
Probably not.
It might have won, like, been nominated for best animation, but I'd have to
maybe.
look it up and see if it actually won any.
Yeah.
I mean,
But,
we all know
yeah.
that we all know that Jack Quaid won the Golden Glasses Best Performance of the Year this
Oh, well, there
year.
you go.
I mean,
So it is an
award-winning Jack
award-winning
Quaid.
show. Why are we any different to the Golden Globes and the Emmys? You know what I mean? What,
Yeah, I know, right? Golden Glasses, we're right up there, man. It's all golden,
Yeah,
baby.
we're golden. Yeah, I just don't want a merger. That's why I wanted to jump in.
Yeah,
diversity is good. Diversity breeds competition. Competition of ideas is better for the viewer.
Well, and Vance brought it up earlier about WWE versus or WWF versus WCW. I mean, like, you know, the Monday Night Wars was hot, and they were really innovating ideas back then. But then when the merger happened between WCW and WWF shit the bed, which, you know, with WCW and their roster, and there you go.
It became all bland and like it muddled. There were too many different things shoved together, and that's what I'm scared will happen with this merger.
As I said, the only thing I'm interested to see is if they get more funding, but I feel like it just won't. I feel like they'll get cut more with Warner Brothers.
They'll get cut more. I mean, and again, you got to understand, Warner Brothers have Babylon 5. They've done nothing with it. Mm-hmm. They did one crappy animated movie, which I didn't like, but they've done nothing with it. You know, so what's to say that they won't kill Star Trek? Because they'll look at the numbers and be like, look, this ain't making bank. The films, Star Trek 3 made no money whatsoever, so to speak. And so they're like, but then what's the point of the merger? What franchise are they going to have with the merger?
Maybe their catalog. I mean, maybe they're looking to add it to
just
Max.
the catalog, to the streaming service, their classic films.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're just looking to get the catalog and then just junk everything else. I mean, there is a possibility that that when this merger happens, Trek will just go to the wayside. They're going to say, we're going to cancel Lower Decks. We're going to cancel Strange New Worlds. We're going to, you know, and Discovery and Picard are already gone.
Think of it to put the streaming platform more than anything, to put more content on the streaming platform.
Either that, or it'll just make a return to TV. Like, they'll actually put it on TV so they can at least try to get some kind of like ad revenue or something like that. You know what I mean? What were you going to say, Donkey?
It just reminds me of the last big, well, maybe not the last, but the other sci-fi, when Lucasfilm was bought out, people were excited when Disney, because that was Disney money. You know, it was going to be Disney's investing in Star Wars and it's going to breathe new life into Star Wars. How that's panned out, well, that's for another episode. But there's not that same excitement over Warner Brothers as there was for Disney. So I worry that they're not going to handle Star Trek with care.
Yeah, and I mean, it could. I mean, but it could be the opposite. Maybe we were excited about Star Wars getting bought by Disney, and then they shit the bed. So we're not excited about WB buying Paramount. So maybe they'll prove us wrong.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'll put full disclosure. Like, I was not excited when Disney bought. Again, I don't like mergers and corporations buying up other corporations and all this kind of stuff. But I knew that it was going to be a disaster. Because Disney, with all their, I mean, by that point they'd ballsed up Pixar, and you know, okay, you could argue, oh well, look what they did with the MCU and things like that. But like they ballsed up Pixar, and they have the tendency to make everything the same, bland and generic, and all of that. And again, you get proven right, and it's heartbreaking because there's all that potential there, and you don't know what to do with it. And the problem is as well is studios are not run by creatives; they're run by nepotism. Nepotism. It's not even about glorified accountants or anything. It's like, oh, here's my friend. I'm going to stick him in here and all of that, and should keep the shareholders happy, so churn out whatever and all this kind of stuff. And in the long run, this is what happens. You end up where we are now, and it's the same in gaming. You end up where we are now, soulless, dead garbage that isn't making money, and so you end up jacking up your prices for everything because the product that you destroyed is not making you money, and then you're sitting there upset about it that it's not making you money. It's like, let the creative process do its thing, and you'll get money. You're not going to get 20. You might not get as much money as you would once upon a time, but you'll get a steady flow of money and return on investment. But they don't. They always work on quarterly profits, and that is why you can't have the arts working along with capital in that regard.
You end up with games that released buggy as hell, needing a patch, but the in-game store works just fine.
Exactly.
Ooh, shots fired by Major Ray.
No, exactly.
That's
I know.
a Jelly Eels idea, actually. I was having this discussion with Jelly Eels earlier.
But it's right. That's the one area of the games that works perfectly well is the store. The rest of the game is a pile of shit because they're made to focus on that. Doesn't matter if the game's crappy, make all the stuff that they could buy really shiny. They're still going to spend money, and it works. Unfortunately, you can't do that with films, and so you're not getting a good return on investment. What you're getting now is people just tuning out. So, like, well, hang on a second. I've got TV series that are 10 times better than this film, and here in London, I don't want to pay $25 to go and watch a film every time because that's how much a ticket costs now. So I'm just not going to bother, and you're not making money. And then you end up with conglomerates buying other studios up, and you're going to end up with what? Warner Brothers versus Disney in the end.
I mean, that's where we're heading. I mean, you know, that we're heading towards the showdown between Disney, and that's my thought, is like, what other big studios are there? There's Warner Brothers and there's Disney outside of Paramount, and what else is there? I mean, Universal, but what have they done besides Jurassic
Universal?
Park?
And they destroyed their Jurassic World
Yeah.
franchise.
Yeah,
they've got that and Fast and Furious. That's it.
And I mean, Fast and Furious is supposed to be ending, right? At movie 12,
Yeah, it's coming to an end.
Movie 12,
allegedly.
I'd say they've had
Break out of the
active
Duracell
around.
for one last ride.
One last ride again.
They could bury Vin Diesel, but they dig that fucking
family
coffin up. They'd rip his leg off and start beating his corpse to make more money.
I guarantee you, once he rides off into the sunset, within 10 years, they'll come back with his son doing everything because he's got a kid. And so his son's going to be the one doing it all. They'll never let Fast and Furious.
He's got to get the crew back together.
Family.
Jason Statham's going to be he's going to be walking around like this, and he's going to be talking like this. I can't drive anymore.
Yeah. Fast and Furious depends. That's what it's going to be called.
All right, hold on. Daniel Vance has one or two comments here. It's not Tarantino Trek, so that's a silver lining. I don't know. I almost would rather that sometimes. Maybe for like a horror. Maybe, I don't know. Mark my words, a creature in Avengers Endgame will eventually be linked to aliens. Everything's connected in the House of Mouse. The creatures in Avengers. Oh, you're talking about the Thanos's like xenomorph looking, mutants, whatever they're called. I can't remember what they're called, but yeah. I mean, they could be. You never know. Yeah, and all of a sudden, the next Aliens movie is going to show Thanos showing up and like taking samples of one of them or something, and then all of a sudden it's all connected.
Yeah. Well, with Aliens and Predator, how much more of the same bloody film can you make again and again?
Oh God.
Same with Terminator. Same with those films just should have been left in their era because you can only do so much of the same thing. It's literally the same thing.
Actually, I mean, and here's the one thing about Terminator 3 that I thought was great. Not much, but there was one great thing, is that in the end, Judgment Day happened, and they should have left it at that. It
was inevitable, and
it was inevitable.
There was a bit of poetic justice to that.
So,
yeah, that's it.
Okay, well, also one last thing from Daniel Vance, and we're going to wrap up unless you guys have anything else to talk about. Prey was an awesome.
Prey was good, but it was still the same thing as the other two films. And that's it, really. That's what I got to say.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it. I mean, just talking about some news recently. Just some other news. We don't need to talk about it, but the synopsis of Discovery season 5, episode 1 was released, and there's 2 theories on what it is about. It's something about Red Death or something like that. So people are speculating it's either the Red Angel coming back from season 2, or it's going to be something about red matter from the 2009 from Spock's jellyfish craft. And there's also a 800-year-old Romulan ship involved in this episode. So we're thinking it's going to be something that links to the Romulan supernova and the start of the Kelvin timeline. So
That would be cool.
yeah, I mean, that's all they got though with the synopsis. I wanted to bring that up earlier and I forgot. So, but anyway, so speculate down in the comments. What do you think? I think it's an interesting idea, but at the same time, it's kind of like an 800-year-old ship, and it's got like red matter on it, and I don't know, probably Spock in like some kind of chamber or something. Who knows? They're gonna bring Daniel Quinto's or is it Daniel Quinto?
Zachary
Quinto's Spock, and he's gonna be aged up, and he's gonna be in it. But anyway,
that would be cool. Actually, I would like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, with that all being said, Ginger, Donkey, Majo Rage, thank you very much for joining me. Stanley of Fan Films out there, Vance, if you're watching, thank you very much for being here for the first portion. Next week we are going to possibly have a very special interview for the Highly Illogical podcast. I don't want to say anything just yet because I don't have anything confirmed, but we might have a pretty big fan film creator on who is actually working on a big fan film in the Star Trek universe. So I'm kind of working on that right now behind the scenes, and look for more of that. I'll probably release an official thing on our community tab. So
I wait with bated breath. I want to.
Daniel says
he said respected, man. He said respected.
Listen, I expect everyone to show up in catsuits next week. Okay. But anyway, so with that all being said, everybody, thank you very much for joining us. And we will be back next week on Thursday at around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Unless something changes, keep it on the community tab. Catch you guys in the next one. Live long and prosper. Bye-bye, guys.